Well, we've already seen with the radical left's push for the so-called Respect for Marriage Act that the Democrats plan to ram through in this lame duck session of Congress an attack on the First Amendment. Not content attacking the freedom of religion and the freedom of speech, they now have the Second Amendment in their crosshairs. How likely is their gun control effort to succeed, and what else should we be watching for in the next few weeks in this lame duck session of Congress? Joining me now to discuss this and more, Congressman Bob Good. He serves on the House Committee on Education and Labor and the House Budget Committee. He represents Virginia's 5th Congressional District. Congressman Good, welcome back to the program.
Great to be with you, Tony. Thanks for having me again.
So, Congressman, how serious is this threat to focus not only on the First Amendment that we see in the Senate in just a few moments with this Disrespect for Marriage Act vote, but now the president saying he's going to go after guns in the lame duck session?
Well, the Democrat Party never lets a crisis go to waste. And as you know, there's a relentless assault on the right of citizens to defend ourselves. There's a relentless assault on the Constitution and a relentless assault on the Second Amendment. Whether the Democrats like it or not, and it seems like they don't like it, we do have a Constitution. We do have a Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment, which is the guarantor or the protector of all other rights, quite frankly, it's the canary in the mine shaft, I've heard others say before. But the Second Amendment, it simply says shall not be infringed, and we should not have our rights as law-abiding citizens dependent upon the actions of those who break our laws. And the Constitution, as you know, by our founders was designed with the ability for it to be changed, but it was difficult for it to be changed by design, for a reason. And so if the Democrats don't like what the Second Amendment says, and they don't, of course, then what they ought to do is try to change the Constitution. Good luck with that, getting that through a majority of the states, the majority of the legislatures in the Congress as well. But shall not be infringed, and we ought to stop trampling on the rights of law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and to enjoy their rights as guaranteed to us in our Constitution to defend themselves.
Congressman, we know going into this election that crime was a major concern of the American people. I mean, you cannot pick up a newspaper in any city in America and not read the headlines of some shooting, some type of attack that has taken place. And so there's no discussion, though, of the lawlessness that has given rise to this. In fact, you and I have talked about this, where you've had over 100 attacks on care pregnancy centers, churches, and other pro-life organizations, and the Biden administration has done absolutely nothing about that. I think when you go back to 2020 and you see the lawlessness that has swept across this country, there's a sense that people want security, but I think there's this false sense of security that would come by taking away people's guns and ability to protect themselves.
Yeah, it's already against the law to shoot people. It's already against the law to commit murder. And obviously these criminals who are doing these actions aren't going to be concerned about breaking gun laws in addition to the other laws that they're already breaking. And there's this selective outrage by the left. They don't care about police officers that are shot in the line of duty. They don't care about the crime in our inner cities, in our communities, our cities across the country where hundreds of people are shot every weekend in the United States. There's a selective outrage for political reasons where they pick certain shootings that they're concerned about, and they use it just, again, as a tool to try to restrict the rights of law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. That's a God-given right, thankfully, in this country, enshrined in the Constitution, and we need to stand firm in our willingness to defend that right, because it's essential to guarantee that we remain a free people. That's what the founders intended, was that our right to defend ourselves, our right to be armed, was to ensure that we remain a free people, and it was a check on tyranny, as you know.
Right. Not so much for turkeys, but tyranny. Let me ask you this question, because, I mean, the House, you really don't have a chance to stop this in the lame duck session because it's dominated by the Democratic Party, who, as you pointed out earlier, they're all about taking away guns from law-abiding citizens so that the criminals will basically have free reign, I assume. Let's talk about the Senate. Do you think the Democrats would find 10 Republicans to go along with this?
I would certainly hope not. But what we can do in the House, Tony, is stand united and give no Republican votes in this lame duck session for the very policies that we campaigned against and for the very policies for which the voters across the country gave Republicans, 4 or 5 million more votes than they gave Democrats, the things that they wanted us to fight for. So we should stand united and not give one Republican vote for 1 more cent to fund a government that doesn't secure our border, that imposes mandates, unconstitutional mandates for vaccine mandates upon its people, that doesn't, that continues a war on American energy, and that funds the very oppression, the very tyranny that we campaign against. So we can stand united in the House. And while your point is well made that we don't have the votes to block it in the House, what the Democrats want to do, but it does put pressure on the Senate when no Republican in the House votes for these policies that the Senate can block, because, as you know, most of those policies, as you noted, have to be advanced with 60 votes. So I don't think that they'll have those votes in the Senate, but the Republicans in the House need to put pressure on them by giving not one single vote on the House.
That's an extremely important point, because we were just talking about the Disrespect for Marriage Act, where 47 Republicans in the House voted for that measure, giving cover to the senators, the 12 that voted for this just before the Thanksgiving break. So you're absolutely right. It's extremely important. I want to go now to the topic of Dr. Fauci, comments he made yesterday. We're up against the break. I want to play this clip that I played just a few moments ago, and then on the other side of the break, we'll talk about it. Play clip number 3.
Coming out of the holidays, should parents expect schools to shut down?
I don't know, Margaret. I'm not sure. When you talk about shutting down schools, there's always the collateral
That's also
effects.
radioactive.
It is, exactly. There's always the collateral issues.
He's leaving at the end of the year, but is he messaging something that we may have to deal with next year by the Biden administration? I'll give you a quick comment on that. We're going to go out to the break, and we'll come back and talk more about it.
Incredible the Democrats and the left hasn't learned from the harm that they did to our children over these last 2 years. History will judge us harshly for how we sacrificed the welfare of our children for political reasons during the past couple of years.